So this is Unit 2, Module 3, Lesson 4, Android Logo 1. So in this lesson, what we're really going to do is talk about the concept of algorithms. The code for most of this program is already written, so you're really not adding a whole lot of code. You're adding steps. Now, I don't know about you, but you might have heard about a little program called Logo, which was an application was out a long time ago that essentially made your computer act like an Etch-a-Sketch, where you could control the direction of this character and would draw a trail behind it, and you use this character to make little pictures. And if you've ever seen an Etch-a-Sketch, essentially the way it works is you turn the knobs and the dials and you draw a picture. And to get a really good picture, it's fairly complicated, unless, of course, you're in that movie Elf, where Will Ferrell plays with the Etch-a-Sketch really, really quick and then gets this really fantastic picture. Well, we can actually get a computer to do that for us by writing an algorithm to follow a process so it would very quickly do all these drawings where it would normally take us a really, really long time to do. And in fact, we can go one step further and use the process of iteration to get it to repeat an algorithm so it draws a picture that is way more complicated than we could ever draw on our own. So essentially, I'm giving you this algorithm, this program. There's a startup file that I want you to download and run. And I want to talk about how this program works. So it runs right off the bat. You can run it in your emulator. And essentially, you have a couple controls up here. You have forward, you have right, you have up, you have hide, you have draw, and you have reset. We have our little Android character here, and we can go around, we can draw a picture. However, if you use the logo commands in script and make them a little bit more iterative and write a procedure, you can get pictures that look something like this. So rather than just a happy face, you can get something that's a lot more complicated. So the forward command moves the Android character forward by 10 pixels. The turn command causes the Android character to turn right by 90 degrees. The pen up command pulls the pen off the canvas so nothing is drawn when the Android character moves. The show turtle command makes the Android visible, makes the little character visible or invisible. And the draw command moves the Android according to the code you specify. So it does the action. The draw command is really what does everything. Right now, your draw command is nothing. We're going to build up a draw command so it does certain things on its own just by pressing the draw command. And the reset clears the canvas. There's a whole bunch of code in here that make this work. Feel free to look at it. Just don't change anything. If you change it, you're going to have to re-download the starter file so that way you can make sure it's working as it's supposed to. So it's not the end of the world if you change something, but be aware if you mess something up, you're going to have to recopy it from the starter code. So let's talk about an algorithm. An algorithm is a series of actions that are repeated over and over again. So in this case, we're going to do a very simple algorithm to draw a 10 by 10 square. So we're going to have our character move forward, then we're going to have him turn, then move forward, then turn, then move forward, then turn, then move forward, then turn. And that should give us a 10 by 10 square. So we're going to put those actions inside the draw method. And when we press the draw button, it's going to just draw a square. But that's very repetitive. So this is screaming for some type of refactoring where we want to make this into a loop rather than just a series of commands. So we take our algorithm and make it a little bit better. So one of the things you guys are going to do is run the app and just kind of play with it a little bit. Look to see how you can click forward and how you can turn and draw things. Look at the blocks. Find the forward command and the turn procedures within the code. You can code the draw command function to draw shapes like the square we just talked about. And you can also make subroutines later that make this able to do a lot more complicated pictures, which we're going to get into doing. Before you let you go and do that, though, I want to go through and show you where some of the commands are. We have the show turtle command. This makes the little Android app appear and disappear. And as we click on this, we can see the entire list of methods that we have when we look at the call procedure. That procedure right there that we can find, that we can go through and change any one of these actions. So these buttons are actually calling these different procedures. This is coded for you already. You don't need to change any of this code, but you can use it. So we have call forward, we have call turn, call pen up, call forward. Notice we can put in values for each of these. So we can choose a certain number of pixels, or we can choose a certain angle to turn at rather than just being 90 degrees. So there is an exercise in Blackboard called Exercise 1, and it's going to walk you through a series of tasks. So you don't really have to do a whole lot of coding. You're basically using these procedures to create your own algorithm. So for example, the first thing you're going to have to do is write an algorithm to draw a 20 by 20 pixel square. And then you're going to go through and you're going to draw a 40 by 40 square. Kind of get the idea? They're going to have you go through and do each of these different actions, building you up so you get closer and closer to a more complicated algorithm. Then, of course, we're going to move forward and do Logo 2, which kind of continues this process. So not a huge amount of coding, more about thinking about design and how does an algorithm actually work. So I'm going to let you guys stop here and open up and download the Logo program and go through this exercise piece by piece. And then when you're all done, you're just going to submit your version of Logo with all of the exercises in it, except as you do this, sometimes you're going to have to overwrite yourself. Like when you do the 20 by 20 square, you can't save that information when you go to do the 40 by 40 square. You'll understand as we get through this, they have you write some procedures. That's the part that I'm going to want. The procedures that you end up writing to make your life easier. So you're not going to keep the answers to all of the questions, just the very last couple. That's what you're going to end up submitting to me. So don't worry about if you overwrite yourself.